Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Come on, let's do it a little bit louder. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. So the good news is that it's raining, so you can all just hang on for a little bit longer. There's nothing exceptionally fantastic going on outside. The good news is, the better news is that today is Diwali. Haribo! So we're going to be having a Bhagavad Gita class, but before you all go, I know some of you are itching to get off your seats and go, but just a little reflection about Diwali, and then we're going to have a Bhagavad Gita class. So as many of you know, Lord Ram was exiled for how many years? 14 years, yes. So he was exiled for 14 years. And when he returned to Ayodhya, what happened? Candles, right? So every day you come here and you offer a candle to Lord Ram, to Damodar, Yashoda, Lord Ram, and the deities. So we offer a candle, but let me give you something to reflect on when you go home today. Lord Ram is in our heart, and every single one of us have also exiled him from our heart. When we have envy, when we have anger, when we have frustration, when we have hate, when we have all these things, what we actually do every single day is we exile the Lord from our heart. But at the same time, every single one of us have the opportunity to welcome the Lord into our heart again by actually candling the light of wisdom, the light of knowledge, because that's ultimately what it is about, wisdom conquering ignorance. So with that being said, because today is Diwali, I'm sure many of you don't have anywhere better to go. I'd highly recommend that you stay here and you illuminate your lives and your heart with wisdom and knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, and you welcome Lord Ram into your heart again. Don't let this just be another day where, you know, there's family festive, which is okay, it's all good, but we haven't conquered the problem of birth and death and old age and disease. So now is your opportunity. So please, I'd highly recommend, if you really want to honor this beautiful and incredible day, then stay here for another half an hour to an hour and just listen to Bhagavad Gita. Let it go into your ears and let it sink into your heart, and let Lord Ram actually conquer the Ayodhya of your heart. Hare Krishna. So what we can do, let's all work together as a team before you go, is let's just create a little space here. Just where the kid in the blue, what's your name? The kid in the blue is sitting. Let's make a space there and we can all just sit and we can listen attentively. Hare Krishna. Oh, and then you guys are all very fortunate. 5 minutes. The curtains will open again. Okay, so you are all fortunate. The curtains will open again, and then 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Hare Krishna. So let's do this. This is actually wonderful. All of you are very fortunate. So let's just try and make a space here, and then Mataji can sit here. Thank you so much. And you can all turn. No, do you want the other side? No, just cushion. They say the way to conquer the Lord is to conquer his devotees.
Hare Krishna. Sure. Hare. This is on here from here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Do you all know Jai Radha Madhava prayers? Yeah? Okay, let's try. We do a short prayer together and then we discuss about Bhagavad Gita. Okay, we can do the prayer without microphone. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Wow. Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Dana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Dana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Janja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Beautiful. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Haribol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe, Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Damodara, Jaya Damodara, Jaya Damodara, Jaya Damodara. Jaya Damodara, Jaya Damodara, Jaya Damodara. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitya Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gora Hari Bol. Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol. All glory, all glory. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. I don't think it is not. You can't hear. No? Okay, I try to shout. We're going to read from Bhagavad Gita. The verse I've been given is chapter 2, verse 23. And basically, the whole Bhagavad Gita is teaching us why we're doing what we just did. We chanted the Maha Mantra, right? Why are we chanting this Maha Mantra? Everywhere you go in the temple, whenever you see these devotees, they're chanting these 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So why do we do that? Who knows? Okay, I'm sure many of you know that. But let's see what we can learn from Bhagavad Gita in that. Basically, this Maha Mantra is the food for the soul, right? But what is soul, right? Here in this chapter, chapter 2 especially, and this verse is talking about the soul. So I read the verse. Please repeat the Sanskrit. I read the translation. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I read the translation, I read the purport, and we do a little bit of discussion trying to understand what Krishna is saying, what Prabhupada is saying. Okay. Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam dati pavakaha, Nainam dati pavakaha, Na chainam kle dayantiapo, Na chainam kle dayantiapo, Nasho shayati ma rutaha, Nasho shayati marutaha. Okay, I understand it's difficult, especially if you don't have the book with you. I read it twice more. You just try to absorb the sound of the words. Okay? Nainam chintani shastrani, Nainam dahati pavakaha, Nachainam kledaya yapo, Nasho shayati marutaha, Nainam chindanti shastrani, Nainam dahati pavakaha, Nachainam kledaya yapo, Nasho shayati marutaha. Na, never, enam, this soul, chindanti, can cut to pieces, shastrani, weapons, na, never, enam, this soul, dahati, burns, pavakaha, fire, na, never, cha, also, enam, this soul, Kle dayanti, moistens, apa, water, na, never, shoshayati, dry. By water, nor withered by the wind. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. All weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., are unable to kill. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I don't have to shout. Okay, I read the translation again. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. All kinds of weapons, swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons, but formerly there were other weapons made of all different types of material elements. Fire weapons were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons. Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices. The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul, because they are atomic individual souls eternally, sanatana. They are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the sparks of a fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of fire. In the Varaha Purana, the individual entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to the Bhagavad Gita also. Even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate in identity, as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna. Okay, I do a short prayer just asking all the acharyas to help all of us to be able to understand what Krishna and Prabhupada are saying here. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Akshurun Militam Yena Tasmei Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakanditam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostete Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is good, but this is going on. Perfect. Thank you. Without other Vaishnavas, we are unable to do anything. Okay, so this is chapter 2. I just give a quick background, what was happening. Arjuna
They are in the middle of battlefield, yes? But Arjuna doesn't want to fight. And he brings so many different arguments to avoid fighting. Now, one of his arguments, now, you have read Bhagavad Gita? Yes? Yes, you know about Bhagavad Gita? Okay, that's great. So one of the arguments that Krishna is making to Arjuna is that I don't want to kill anyone. Killing is sinful. Is that correct? Killing is sinful. Yes, of course. However, they are in a battlefield. Arjuna is a soldier. He is actually the head of the army. If the country goes to war and the army has to fight, what do you think? If the soldiers say, oh, I'm not going to fight because in the fighting I may kill someone, and then that is sinful. That is against my religion, so I'm not going to fight. Is that wise? Is that logical? No, the soldier's duty is to fight. And in that fighting, killing may happen. But for a soldier who is following the orders of the superiors, who is following the orders of the head of the country, who is doing the fighting to protect the people, then killing is not sinful. Also, of course, taking another's life, any living being, that is sinful. But that's why we don't eat meat, we don't kill animals, because that is sinful. But Krishna is taking this opportunity to teach Arjuna and to teach us a lesson that, okay, many killings may happen in the war, many people may die, but the real self never dies. Why? The real person, no person will be killed. Why? Because the real self is not the body, right? The body dies, the body is killed, but the body is not our real self. We all die, we all lose all our possessions, we all lose everything we have gained. But one thing remains, one thing never dies, and that is what? The soul. You know the Sanskrit for the soul, don't you? What is that? Atma. What's your name? Anna. Una. Ahuna. Beautiful. How old are you? 13. And you already know that we're not this body, we are a spirit soul. That's amazing. That's amazing. I knew that when I was 30 years old. So this knowledge, this book is teaching us that. Some people are more fortunate, they know it from birth, they know it much earlier. Some learn it later. That's fine, as long as we know it before we die, right? And also we act upon it. We act upon the fact that soul is our permanent self. Soul is the self. And the mantra we did earlier, that's the food for the soul, right? That's why we chant. That's why we come here. That's why we learn that who is the real self. So we feed that real self. So in today's verse, in the verse it talks about, in chapter 2, the first 30 verses, about 15 to 20 verses, I think, in the beginning of chapter 2, it talks about the soul and the nature of the soul. First, we all accept that our real self is the soul. Yeah, but what is the soul, right? And in the first part of chapter 2 is teaching us. And in this verse is talking about the fact that the soul is indestructible. It can never be destroyed. Never dies, it can never be killed, it never be destroyed, no matter what kind of strong weapons are used. And Prabhupada makes a quick point that at Vedic times, there were so many different types of weapons. It wasn't, at this age, there's only fire weapon. Centuries ago, there were kind of iron weapon and, these hard weapons. But in Vedic time, there were water weapons, tornado weapons, wind weapon, shastric weapons, so many different weapons. So they were a lot more advanced, actually. But 2 points Prabhupada makes in his purport about the nature of the soul. One is its eternality, the fact that it will never be destroyed. And another point Prabhupada makes is about its individuality. The eternality of the soul, once you accept the soul, accepting its eternality is not very difficult. But when it comes to its individuality, there are difficulty to understanding it and accepting it. And even among spiritualists, among Hindu community, among those who believe in the soul and its eternality, there are different opinions about whether the soul is an individual, separated individual part of the Supreme Soul, or is it kind of merged and part of the Supreme Soul. Bhagavad Gita is teaching us that the soul is an individual. Each one of us has a soul, and this soul, even though it's part of the Supreme Soul, but it's a part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, means is a separated part. It comes from the Supreme Soul, but it's permanently separated and individual from the soul. Now, how do we understand that and how it can be proved? Prabhupada says, let's first just have some interaction. Do you accept the soul? Do you all accept? Yes? Do you all accept that our real self is the soul, not the body? There is something in all of us which never dies. Well, if you have any questions about that, just ask, because we need to know it for ourselves, and also we need to know it in order to convince others as well, right? Because especially in these days, day and age, many people, it's actually, many scientists, they believe that there is no soul. Once we die, everything finishes, right? And so we need to be quite strong in our understanding about the soul. And reading Bhagavad Gita helps us to be convinced and get all the arguments about it. So please read Bhagavad Gita. If you can, read the whole Bhagavad Gita. If you cannot, just read chapter 2. Chapter 2 is the summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. And the first part of Bhagavad Gita talks about the soul. It's actually the ABC of spiritual knowledge. if we don't understand that we are not the body, we are a spirit soul, and we don't understand the nature and the qualities of the soul, which are all explained in chapter 2, the first part, the first 30 verses, of that. Just learn about who is the soul, what is the nature of the soul, why there is a soul, why we say, Bhagavad Gita says that, our real self is the soul. Just be convinced of that. Once we learn that, then once we learn about the individual soul, then we can learn about the Supreme Soul. Supreme Soul is there. You all come here. It's there, it's in our heart, it's everywhere. And you all come here to serve, and in different incarnations. At this time of the year, you are all worshiping and celebrating his Lord Rama, one of the incarnations of the Supreme Person, Supreme Soul. But if we don't understand the individual soul, we're not able to understand the Supreme Soul. And we need to understand the connection between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul. So please go back to Bhagavad Gita, go back to the basics, learn it, study chapter 2, the first 30 verses of chapter 2, even just a few verses, of chapter 2. You learn that and become really, really versed, really strong in that, to be convinced yourself and be able to convince others. So, sorry, I just go back to my notes. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, as I said, he makes 2 points about the nature and qualities of the soul. The fact that the soul is eternal, indestructible by any means, even the strongest weapons. So it cannot be destroyed. So, in fact, we never die. What happens? But what happens when we die? The body dies, and what happens? What happens to the soul? Never dies, but what happens to it? It could go to heavens or not, right? In whole, we learn from Bhagavad Gita that the soul moves to another body. Yes? Reincarnates, right? So I have this body now, but when this body dies, then my soul moves, takes another body. Depending on our activities in this life, that determines what kind of body we will have in next life. If activities are very high activities, in a, very charitable person, very good person, very kind, understanding, very, doing, great activities, yes, that soul can get a heavenly body, can go to the heavens. In the heavens, life is much, much longer. The happiness and joy is much, much longer than, on the earth. But still, even in heavenly planets, there is an end. The souls who go to heavenly planets, they may live thousands of years, but it's still one day they'll die. And then the soul has to take another body. So that's basically what happens to the souls in the material world. But there is one way of, soul is eternal anyway, but while on this material world, it takes impermanent bodies. But what we're trying to do in spiritual practice is to achieve a permanent body, a spiritual body, right? That is our goal. That's why we come to the temple. That's why we should pray to Krishna. Of course, Krishna gives any prayer you have, any desires you have, even material desires, he will give you. But whatever he gives materially is still impermanent. We lose it. He wants us to have something which never ends, right? So he wants, and this reality, this permanent reality, is in the spiritual world, not in the material world. So no matter what kind of high life we have in this material world, either on the earth or in heavenly planets, one day it ends. But he wants us to go to the spiritual world so it will never end. And the main thing that we are all after, what is it? Happiness, yes? Joy and happiness. Even that, in the material world, no matter how much joy and happiness we have, one day it ends. But in the spiritual world, it never ends. Wouldn't it be nice to go somewhere that we are all always happy? Yes? No quarrel, no disappointment, no sadness, no suffering. Okay. That's why we come here. That's why we are chanting this Maha Mantra. Because this Maha Mantra helps us cleanse all the pollution in the heart and brings us closer and closer to Krishna. And this pollution, when it's all cleansed, then we can achieve our permanent spiritual body. It's like a mirror. When the mirror is dusty, when you look into the mirror, what kind of image you see? You cannot see yourself properly. You say, who is that? Who is that? You try to, dust the mirror. This Maha Mantra helps us to dust our heart. Once this dust is removed, then we can see our real self, which is Atma, our real soul. And once this happens, then we start making cards. Okay, oh, that's so nice. This soul. And then, okay, where is this soul coming from? I am very small and tiny, I'm so insignificant, but, this wonderful creature, this Atma, where is it coming from? Then Bhagavad Gita is teaching us about Supreme Soul. Who is this Supreme Soul? And what is ultimately Bhagavad Gita teaching us that, he's teaching about three aspects of the Supreme Soul. Brahman aspect, Paramatma aspect, and Bhagavan. Yes? Brahman aspect is the effulgence of the Supreme Soul, is the pervading energy, light, force, energy, of the Supreme. Paramatma is the localized aspect in our heart of the Supreme. Vishnu with four-handed. He's in the heart. He's what all the inspiration's coming from. He's always there. He's always talking to us. Do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And meditation, Maha Mantra, helps us to hear him. Because normally we don't hear the super soul. We don't hear because we are so busy hearing our own mind. But meditation helps us to connect with the Supreme in our heart. But that is still not complete understanding of the Lord. The complete understanding of the Lord is Bhagavan, is his personality, it is Krishna who is in the spiritual world. And he's there, just there, enjoying, playing, happy. He's calling us, come and play. It's like we are in the classroom and we are all teaching and, some children are outside playing. You say, come and play, come and enjoy. But unless we learn our lessons, the teacher doesn't allow us to go out and play. Only those who have learned their lessons, they get time out, go and play. So in this world, we need to learn our lessons. Once we learn our lessons, we purify our heart, then we are able to go to the spiritual world. And one of the lessons is to learn that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, we are eternal, but also this spirit soul is an individual soul, is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. We never merge with the Supreme Soul. We never become one with the Supreme Soul. We connect with Him, we go to His abode, but we remain our own individuality. Prabhupada gave a lecture in 1973 in London, in August 27. And he elaborates on this part of the individuality of the soul. It's important, as I said, because even among spiritualists, there is wrong understanding about this individuality of the soul. So I just read part of Prabhupada's lecture about the individuality of the soul, and then we will finish this class. Sorry. Okay, he's trying to argue with those who say that spirit is one. Ultimately, everything becomes one. Bhagavad Gita does not agree with that. We are a spirit soul, but we all remain individual. Supreme Soul is big, full, in all strength, beauty, renunciation, wealth, knowledge, everything. We are a spirit, the same quality as Him, but in quantity we are small. We're not as big. So Vishnu Tattva, we have Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. We have to understand the difference. The Jiva never becomes supreme. We get supreme, we can achieve supreme qualities, but we never become equal with God. Otherwise, what is the point? The whole concept of God, is out of, question. Then, if we think everybody can become God. There is only one Supreme Lord. Now, he says, the Supreme Spirit, when the Spirit is embodied, it becomes individual. This is, hold on. Okay, I just give the analogy that Prabhupada uses. Prabhupada says, those who say the Spirit is one, they use this. They say, we are individual now because we have got this material body. And once we have no material body, then we merge, with the Supreme. Prabhupada says, this analogy cannot be used for the spirit. It's not like there is the whole ocean, and there is a boat in the ocean full of water. Then within that boat, there's another pot full of water. Then within that pot, there's a small cup full of water, and then within that small cup, there's let's say, tiny piece of leaf full of water, and these waters are separated from each other only because of the containers. And once the containers are broken or gone, then all the water merge together and become one in the ocean. This analogy cannot be used for the spirit. The spirit soul, the individual spirit soul, from the beginning, even when they are within the body of Vishnu, they all separated. They're not separated because they gain material body. They are separated originally, even within the body of Vishnu. So Prabhupada refutes this analogy of the philosophers called Mayavadis. Mayavadis, they have this philosophy. They even use this for the Supreme Lord. They say Krishna is the individual only in the material world. He's this person, Krishna, only in material world because he has this body, and they see the body of Krishna material, right? But we say we all have material body, but Krishna, being the supreme person, even in the material world, his body is still spiritual. So Prabhupada goes on saying that well, he calls this a nonsense philosophy. Because they say spirit becomes individual only when he is embodied. But no, every soul is individual and has an original spiritual body. This nonsense philosophy is refuted in this verse, today's verse. How? Because spirit, either you take whole spirit or part spirit. You cannot divide it. It says here, spirit cannot be divided. It cannot be divided by cutting. That is not possible. So their philosophy is that the water has been put into different pots. Therefore, we see this small water, big water, this division. But they are all individual always. It is not that it has been divided. Sanatana means eternally. They are divided. It is not that it has been divided by some means. Just like we keep water in big pot or small pot, that is not possible. They are big or small eternally. The Jiva, Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva. The Jiva Tattva, they are small fragments. They are eternal. Vishnu Tattva means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnu Tattva is unlimitedly great, eternally, Sanatana. And the Jiva Tattva, they are infinitesimally smaller, eternally. Not that it has been cut into small or big pieces. So, this Mayavadi theory cannot stand here if we accept the Bhagavad Gita's statement. It is not divided by some means. It is already divided. Neither the small piece of soul or a big piece of soul can be divided. There are earth, water, fire, so none of these material things can act on the soul. It is not that because air dries up, then big ocean dries up. But with the soul never dries up or evaporates. This is the distinction. The air can evaporate the big ocean, Gradually, it is being done. Even nowadays, it's happening. But it cannot happen with the soul. So everything on this plan, well, in the material world, one day everything will be finished. The big ocean, the big forests, we see all destructions happening already. One day everything will be finished. But the spiritual world, it will never be finished. So what should we do? We should get out, get out of this material world, right? And go to the spiritual world. Before the material world ends itself, we can do that. How? By chanting the Maha Mantra, by learning about Krishna, by understanding Krishna, by understanding his supremacy, by praying to Krishna, by worshiping Krishna, by serving Krishna, and by serving the servants of the Krishna, then the best service for Krishna and for Vaishnavas is chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are 3 words repeated 16 times. Hari is the energy of the Lord, Radharani, right? The female aspect of the Lord, the internal energy of the Lord, Hari. Then Krishna. Do you know the meaning of Krishna? Huh? Beautiful, yes. Beauty is one of the opulences of Krishna. But all his opulences, his beauty, his wealth, his fame, his power, his renunciation, all attracts everyone. Yes? Krishna, the word Krishna has 2 meanings. One is blackish, right? But the other meaning is all attractive. Well, if he is God, he got to be all attractive, yes? And his beauty is one of his attractions, right? But he attracts all living beings, everything he attracts. That's why, and he, you see, is attracting all people. And he attracts in different forms. Today, he's attracting people in the form of Lord Rama, right? In another, his avatars, he attracts in different form. In all his incarnations, he attracts different living beings. But Krishna means all attractive. And the other word, Hari, is his internal energy. Krishna means all attractive. And Rama, which we have him today, Lord Rama. What is the meaning of Lord Rama, of the word Rama? Happy, pleasure, the reservoir of all pleasure. Rama, that's the meaning of the word. And of course, Lord Rama gives pleasure to all his citizens, right, as the king. So, Hari, Krishna, and Rama. We repeat them in this one mantra, we repeat them 16 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're calling him. Hare Krishna, Rama. We're calling him. And what happens when you call someone? They come. Exactly. When your child calls you, you immediately say, yes, yes, dear, I'm here. What do you want? So as soon as you call him, with the name Hari, with the name Krishna, with the name Rama, these are the topmost names, with all other names. As soon as you call him, he comes. I'm here. And then he says, yes, dear, What do you want? Yes, normally when someone calls you, you're immediately there and you ask. You don't say, oh, thank you for calling me. You say, what do you want? So Krishna comes and says, what do you want? What is your answer? What do you say to him when he says, what do you want? Huh? I want you.